David Geffen was promptly fired from Warner Brothers right after that.
Dueling Decades.
All right, Mancrush. You pick up our first point. You take control of the board. What category are we going with next?
All right, this is not common, but we're going to go movies in the second round here.
All right.
I want to see what you guys have here, because I have July 3rd, 1976. All right, this is the bicentennial. I don't know if they were not thinking about releasing many movies in July because so much crap was going on with the bicentennial and the parades or whatever. Maybe they didn't think they were going to make any money back. So it was a little weird on the release, especially in terms of being like a successful movie and arguably the best Western of all time. For one, it's the 70s. So, there's fewer screens and it was quite common to get like a rolling release date. We've talked about that on the show before. Kind of see how well the movie is doing and then put more prints out. As they come out, more theaters get them and they spread it out a little bit more. So typically you would get this on movies that studios are taking a chance on. I mean, shit, like even Star Wars was only released on something like 30 screens when that came out because they just didn't know. And this movie, it makes sense though, because it's a Western. And in 1976, Westerns weren't exactly pulling in mass crowds anymore. It was more of like an early 70s, 60s thing. So in spite of that, and seeing so many dates spread out through the month of July, I chose a sneak preview of this movie. It was in a theater in Hollywood on July 30, 1976. And I can't even pronounce the name of the theater, so I'm not even going to go there. I'll just tell you it's in Hollywood. It's like Pantages.
Pantages.
Oh, yeah. Pantages, is that what it is? All right, that's where they played it on July the 3rd. But you know what? The rolling release for this flick, it worked because the movie, it brought in around $32 million, which is roughly $151 million in 2021 on a mere $3 million budget. The movie was also nominated for an Oscar for Best Music of all things. But it did have some major accolades here. In 1996, the United States Library of Congress said this movie was culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant and was preserved in the National Film Registry. So all in all, this is a pretty remarkable movie. I watched it twice this week, and it's an amazing Western. It's on Netflix right now. What I really dig about this movie, as opposed to like Tombstone or something else, it's not romanticized at all. Like, this is the world as you would expect, like during the South, during the Civil War, maybe a little post-Civil War, what it would actually look like. Not like how Tombstone and like all the stories are built up. It's a lot different than that. So if you're in the mood for an amazing Clint Eastwood Western, it's based on a novel and just a raw look at what it was like to live in the South during the Civil War, maybe a little bit after. Amazing quotes where he's talking to Ten Bear and everything, and the dialogue they have going back and forth, just amazing. But go out and find a copy of The Outlaw Josie Wales. It's an amazing movie, but a great story about this one. Kind of ties into music. I figured Tom would like this a little bit. I don't know how much you know of this guy, but great story about Clint Eastwood from this movie. Is back in 2012. PBS did this series. It was called American Masters, and they had a show about David Geffen. Well, at the time, David Geffen was this young Warner Brothers film executive in 1976. So David Geffen decided to tell Clint Eastwood. They asked, like, what do you guys think about the movie? It was like this round table. So he looks at Clint Eastwood and he's like, listen, I enjoyed The Outlaw Josie Wales, but I would cut about 30 minutes from the film. And in a way that only Clint Eastwood can do, like, glares at him and he's like, oh yeah, you go edit it. And then he just gets up, starts walking out of the room, and David Geffen goes, wait, where are you going? And Clint Eastwood just goes, again, the only way that Clint Eastwood could do it, I'm butchering the shit out of it, but it's across the lot to Paramount to cut a new deal. And then David Geffen was promptly fired from Warner Brothers right after that. Pretty crazy. I mean, he obviously went on to bigger and better things, but not his shining light right there in 1976. But yeah, The Outlaw Josie Wales is what I got.
All right, cool. Trevor, what do you have for the movies round?
Well, for my pick, it was kind of obvious. July 1996, open July 3rd, like Mancrushes. I'm just going to say right to it. It's Independence Day.
Yeah.
Roland Emmerich, his opus, you know, he went from Stargate to Independence Day. It was kind of when it comes to scale, it kind of,
Such an amazing
it's such a good movie. It is so fun. It earned 104 million in its opening weekend, including 96 million during its 5-day holiday opening, which is in 96 especially is almost unheard of.
Yeah.
And it made an extra 50 million on its opening weekend. It made over 817 million dollars at the box office. And I remember I had won a special sneak preview pass to see this film. And I remember going to the theater, and something happened that just doesn't happen very often. And something, at least not something I had even experienced in my movie going years. People like were cheering, they were applauding, they were laughing, they were going nuts for this movie. I'm like, I have never seen this before in my life. This is awesome. This is why I go to the movies, you know? And the theaters around Seattle where I live were doing round the clock showings of the film. So people like would go at like midnight or 2 a.m. to see Independence Day, or, you know, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, I got to see this on, like, after I saw the sneak preview, I was like, I want to see this again. So I went and saw it at the Northgate, which had a booming digital sound system then, and it sounded great. And I saw it at least 3 times in the theater, and the score by David Arnold is absolutely amazing. It's so rousing and just old-fashioned, you know. They just don't make scores like that anymore. And another thing about the film was, like, before there was even much footage, they showed a Super Bowl ad for it, and it didn't show anything except the White House getting blown up. And that was like the ultimate teaser for people. So yeah, my pick for July 1996 is Independence Day.
Saw that 4 times in the theater. Not to one up you, but amazing flick.
It's so much fun. It's, you know, not critically adored, but who gives a shit, you know?
And then the sequel came out.
Oh God. Can I tell you a quick story before we move on? Yeah. I had a free pass to go to the movies, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just go see Resurgence. How bad could it be? I was the only one in that theater. The only person in that whole fucking movie. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I could be making snarky comments and no one would care, but I didn't even have the energy. I'm like, this is just boring. This is awful.
It was so bad. There was no chemistry in that movie at all.
No, none. And they cut out Will Smith, which is like one of the lifebloods of the original.
Right.
And you kill off Bill Pullman, and the only person you have the best chemistry in the film is between Judd Hirsch and the school bus of kids. And that's it. You know, not even Jeff Goldblum could raise that movie into watchable territory. And that's saying something, because I love Jeff Goldblum. So yeah, that was a disappointing.
Well, good thing you had 1996.
Oh yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So I think for my movie's pick, this is one of the few examples of a movie where the sequel is better than the original. You know, even though both of the movies are ranked among the 100 greatest of all time. So coming to a theater near you, July 18th, 1986. And make sure you bring a friend for this one, because there are some places in the universe you don't go alone. After a space merchant vessel receives an unknown transmission of a distress call, one of the crew is attacked by a mysterious life form, and they soon realize that the life cycle has merely begun. In Aliens, starring Sigourney Weaver, Lance Hendrickson, Michael Biehn, and the often overlooked outstanding performance by Paul Reiser as just the absolute ultimate cocksucker. He is just horrid in that movie. Just the most despicable character ever. So Aliens was directed by James Cameron, who brought some much needed action to the franchise. And unknown at the time, Cameron took all the terror and tension that had been built up by Ridley Scott from the first film and added just an excitement and just a flair that you'd find normally in an action film. So the movie was not only a box office hit, grossing 131 million. That's 370 million in 2021, kids. But the critics, they love this movie too. So let's go over to the Post Star in Glens Falls, New York. Oh, July 25th, 1986.
Where's your 2x4?
For a review by Jay Bobbin. He says, if nothing else, Aliens may be the truest test of how much one person can take from a suspense film. Happily, though, the sequel to the 1979 horror film is much more than that. It's arguably the best realized follow-up to her previous film since The Godfather Part 2, in terms of remaining true to the story and the characters that have already been established, yet developing its own style and intrigue as it unfolds. And then he closes with, Aliens is the perfect summer movie. It's sleek, slick, and built for speed. So I give you Aliens, July 18th, 1986.
Game over, man. Game over.
You said that the sequel is better, right?
Yeah, I like Aliens more than I like Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Alien's great too, but it's kind of like we posted on our Facebook today. If people aren't on our Facebook, go over there at facebook.com/Dueling Decades. And we posted, today was actually the 32nd anniversary for Lethal Weapon 2.
Right.
And it's kind of the same argument. Like a lot of people like the sequel better than the original, but I always have, like I like the originals better usually, but in certain cases like this one, I think it's just a better movie. So I'd agree with you there. It's no Outlaw Josie Wells, but
well, let's hear what our judge Tom Higgenson has to say on the movies round.
Okay, so I consider myself a major movie buff. Like, obviously I'm, successful with my music and everything. So music, it kind of takes the cake. But honestly, in my day-to-day life, I cherish movies, right? Even with music. Like I'm just a huge movie lover. So it is very sad. It's a sad moment for me to tell you guys that the two classics and one blockbuster, let's just say, that you guys have just presented to me, I have not seen any of those three fucking movies.
Oh my God.
Dude, I know.
Right, well, you got something to do after this.
Wow.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I will say that out of the three, I'm gonna have to go with, even though Mancrush, your story, I love the story of the Outlaw Josie Wales. I'm gonna have to go with Mark on this one, just because out of those three, definitely on my list to see would be Alien, the first one, and then of course the sequel. And it wasn't the third one. Didn't they bring in like Winona Ryder for that one, which sounds pretty badass?
That was
the
fourth one. The fourth one.
Yeah.
Oh, the fourth one. Okay. But yeah,
that one you can actually skip the fourth one.
Yeah.
But Winona, I gotta see Winona. So yeah, I'll go with Mark just because I feel like of those three movies, I feel like maybe Alien, I don't want to say it was like the most important, but I don't know. I'm not a big Western guy. Clint Eastwood is a badass, but I kind of feel like, he had those, I don't know, is like Outlaw Josie Wales any different than, wasn't he in like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah.
Those,
It's a lot different.
Okay.
They're different films. It's not in the series, and the whole premise around it is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think like if you're not into Westerns, it's tough. In Westerns, I caught on to later in life. Like, when I was younger, I just couldn't get into them. It's kind of like country music. Like when I was younger,
totally.
I was like, I can't do it. But then as I got older, I was like, all right, this is not so bad. It's kind of the same thing. So I don't know, like it's kind of a depressing movie, but it's cool. I don't know.
Sure. Well, I know it's
I don't want to give much away now. You haven't seen it.
It's definitely a class. That's not the one. What's the movie where he's got like the steel plate under his thing, like the famous scene where he gets shot and he's got like
those are all
Josie
part
Wales?
of those are all part of the 60s movies.
The
Man with No
Sergio
Name
Leone
trilogy.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So unfortunately, even though the story was great and I loved the David Geffen being a total dumbass and Clint Eastwood being a badass. But yeah, I'll have to go with, and you know, I'm again, I'm right with you, Trevor, with the age and everything. And like Independence Day, for some reason, I missed it. And it was like all the hype. I think I was probably like, that's too high. I'm not going to go see that because it's too hyped up, or it's just this big blockbuster.
It's too popular.
And right. I mean, that's, you know, but I'm sure that the movie is amazing because everybody freaking loves it. It's like a no brainer. But
well, let me ask you then, because like you even have a song named Parker Posey. So
wow, you do your freaking research over here.
Yeah, so
I
like
that.
So you guys were you into more like independent films during the 90s? Like Party Girl and
I mean, dude, that's a great you know, observation, because definitely, I mean, nowadays I don't know, I shouldn't say I'm still I'm a big independent anything fan, right? Whether it's independent music, independent movies. But I think definitely at that moment, right? What was it, 96 you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been my junior year of high school, junior into senior year. I guess, yeah. 96 would have been my junior summer. Yeah, in the senior year. So that was definitely a moment of, yeah, like kind of discovering the cooler, the more unknown, you know, kind of that indie cred stuff. And yeah, like you said, Mancrush, like, yeah, that's when I was writing those songs, like Parker Posey. You know, I think I first saw her in probably Dazed and Confused and was like, oh my God, she is incredible. And then, you know, dove into her catalog. So yeah, I think Independence Day might have been just a little bit too like, cool. I know this is probably amazing. I love freaking Will. Who doesn't love Will Smith, you know? But
he's the 90s, man. We talked about this before on the show. He's the 90s.
So here's a clue into my Will Smith. I was a big, the Fresh Prince, but not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yep.
That's my Will Smith. And then of course I love, you know, Summertime, great jam. But you know, you guys are gonna kill me. Wild Wild West.
Terrible.
Awful. I didn't see it.
Nobody did.
Don't.
No, people love that movie, don't
no,
they?
dude, like what was it? Not even that long ago. It was like a month ago. We did a worst of episode, and my worst of pick for that year,
dude,
or for that month, Wild Wild West. Awful.
Will Smith turned down The Matrix to do Wild West.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, so I don't know. I just missed all the Will Smith blockbusters. I kind of was like, I'm sure they're great, but what are they going to really add? You know, so I apologize, Trevor. I know that was a great pick, but yeah, I got to go with the classic of the three, which would be Aliens, I think.
And besides, Sigourney Weaver was the better alien ass kicker than Will Smith anyway.
I'll give you that. Mark.
Yeah, Men in Black. Never saw that one either. Never saw it. Yeah.
I never got into Men in Black. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was good. The second one, third one was actually really good, and the international was terrible. Yeah.